Police are on the scene of a homicide in Mount Airy.
Philadelphia police tonight are investigating a deadly shooting in East Mount Airy.
A cleanup job Helena Reed never expected. The back window of her car shot out. Her glass front door shattered too. Both hit by stray gunfire early Thursday morning.
And I just heard, I think it's sad that we have to go through that and you can't even be safe in your own home.
Police say the violence erupted just outside of Reed's home on the 1200 block of Easton Road in Stenton around 12:30. Investigators say the gunman fired at least 33 times at a man who was driving in the area. Surveillance video captured what happened moments later. The shooting victim crashed 2 blocks away. The chain reaction impact spotted at the intersection of Easton and Lober. That surveillance video came from this 24-hour gas station.
You know it's lit. That's why shit and them resting in pits. It's 3 dead niggas in the split. Mike, Lil, Steve.
Backdoor robbery, whispers about a drop, and one night at the Getty changed everything. 15 shots later, and the whole neighborhood was at war. This is the real story of how the streets of Uptown Philly turned friends into enemies. Some grew up in the same houses, played on the same football and basketball teams, and ate at the same tables. But when money, pride, and betrayal entered the picture, those bonds broke. What started as a robbery turned into funerals, murders at vigils, and a war that swallowed everyone in its path.
Teenager is the victim of a deadly shooting in East Germantown.
Y'all be capping, y'all rap, y'all some actors. Glizzy killer dead, we the big get backers. Hole in his fitted cap, he a big cap. Man, all y'all homies dead, y'all ain't never been a factor.
A man is shot to death. It happened around 11 o'clock last night at East Duval and Morton Streets. Police arrived and found the victim shot multiple times. Investigators located more than 40 shell casings.
And that I'm spilling blood for Ski Man, that was my rock.
It is upgrading and adding security cameras to this corridor, and we want to promote Vernon Road as one of the safest neighborhood commercial corridors in our city.
In East Mount Airy, police say a 28-year-old man was killed execution style near his front door on the 800 block of Vernon Road.
I got homies from the 5 that's always trying to crack a 6. I'm the feature Vernon Road, so don't get caught up in the mix.
EBK, nigga. Everybody K, nigga. 1500 K, WSMK, 1400. You could be the next K.
Good evening. This happened recently in a North Philadelphia neighborhood. A white neighborhood which suddenly found itself with a stranger in its midst. A Negro who tried to occupy this house. This was the result. One of the most delicate and dangerous problems in human relations faced by the community as a whole.
Real estate is the backbone of U.S. wealth building because it's said to be widely accessible. It's supposed to appreciate over time and can be passed across generations. At the same time, unequal access to homeownership is one of the strongest drivers of the racial wealth gap and broader inequality in America to this day. Home equity makes up the bulk of middle-class wealth. Unlike stocks or business ownership, which are more common among the wealthy, real estate is the most accessible form of long-term investment for the average household. In the 1950s, realtors used blockbusting, leveraging maps like the HOLCs to instill fear in white homeowners by claiming that their neighborhoods were, quote, turning black. These tactics coerced some white people into selling their homes cheaply, which realtors then resold to black families migrating north, including to areas like Germantown.
Migration that is coming into the city comes from the rural areas. The largest reservoir of such population is in the south. People there, white and Negro, are moving off of the farms and into our city. Into Philadelphia are coming large numbers of Negroes, seeking jobs, seeking to improve their way of life, a better way of life for their children.
As black families started to move into Mount Airy during the 1950s through the 70s, some white residents left for the suburbs, while some stayed. That population shift reduced the local tax base and weakened the commercial corridors since many longtime customers and their dollars left.
But about 17% of all Philadelphia Negro families are still occupying dilapidated dwellings. In a word, slums. And here is born the driving need for a change.
By one, I mean people in panic, listing their property for sale, selling for almost any price, and moving away. By staying, I mean people who get together, meet their new neighbors, make friends.
One of the neighborhoods in which this change has been accomplished with a minimum of bitterness is tree-shaded East Johnson Street in Germantown. This is frankly a mixed block, and according to Mrs. Jane Wilhelm of 202 East Johnson, the change in itself need hold no terror.
Yes, we knew that there were Negro families living in the block below this block, but we wanted to live here in this neighborhood, and particularly in this house west. And we have new neighbors on both sides of us, too. One of them is colored and the other is white. Across the street, they're all Negroes.
What were some of the fears voiced by your white neighbors who moved away?
Chiefly, they were afraid of the property values. They, first off, they wanted to be sure that they got all the money that they could out of their property. That they felt that the property would depreciate the minute that the Negroes moved in. Well, in any kind of situation where new people move into a neighborhood, there is getting to know people, and our present neighbors are. We had to get to know them too. Learn how they manage their children, whether they were interested in the community activities, such as our neighborhood organization, and whether they were aware of the need to cooperate.
How about the children? Have they had any trouble adjusting to their new neighbors?
As far as I can tell, none at all. The children have played together as children do, with no consideration of the fact that it's a mixed group of children.
Down the street at 272 East Johnson, we then talked to Mrs. Theodore Perkins, one of the newcomers. Mrs. Perkins, when did you and your husband move to Johnson Street?
About 2.5 years ago.
About 2.5 years ago. Where had you been living before that?
We had been living on 47th Street.
47th Street?
Yes.
You were among the first of the Negro families to move to Johnson Street, were you not?
Yes, we were.
How many had preceded you?
2 families.
What difficulties had they had?
I would say that their difficulties were minor, but they did have some, such as instances where a window might be broken or trash burning.
In other words, vandalism.
Yes.
But still overt acts of hostility.
Yes.
What problems have arisen from your experience in living in a so-called mixed neighborhood?
Away, get a home of your own where you'll have a place for the youngsters.
Yes, it is.
Have you done much looking around, Mr. Bagwell, for a place? Well, no, not since I got this place. What I want to do is buy a home instead of rent. Right now, I'm not able to get a house right now.
When and if Mr. Bagwell is able to buy a house, he will find that his choice is limited almost exclusively to second-hand homes. For in the 7 years between 1946 and 1953, only 45 new homes in all of Philadelphia were offered for sale to Negroes.
From the 70s through the early 90s, Philadelphia as a whole faced a crippling financial crisis triggered by industries leaving the city and the loss of middle-class taxpayers themselves, expensive union contracts, and ongoing financial mismanagement. This turmoil drove the city to the brink of bankruptcy by 1990-91. As a result of prolonged austerity, critical public services like sanitation, policing, and street maintenance were sharply cut, leaving neighborhoods such as Germantown and Mount Airy, particularly their commercial areas, to feel the brunt of this neglect. As for blockbusting itself, the practice was eventually outlawed and had all but entirely disappeared from the city by around 1980. Since then, many neighborhoods victimized by redlining and blockbusting have managed to overcome those obstacles to varying degrees of success. There's no official boundary between Mount Airy and Germantown. The most common consensus is that Johnson Street is a de facto boundary. However, others consider Washington Lane to be Mount Airy's southern edge. The question is moot, however, as the two neighborhoods blend together very gradually. 99% of the kids and teenagers in Uptown are going to school, playing sports, and graduating high school. Schools like Mastery Charter Pickett boast a 95% graduation rate, and Lincoln High School, which is in Roxborough but attended by a lot of people from Uptown, boasts a 100% graduation rate. Central High, which is on the outskirts of Mount Airy, is a top-ranked school in the area. Graduates from Central attend some of the nation's most selective colleges. And Masterman, the best school in the city with a highly selective 3% acceptance rate, has a good amount of students from Uptown. But there are a few that get lost in the shuffle of having to survive in Philly. Now, before we get into this, I want to clarify that I was not there for any of these events I'm about to talk about, obviously. A lot of this is street rumors and innuendo.
You right, we ain't do that. Jumbo got his head smashed in. Just got your gun took at the train station, bro.
Your man got shot under the train, 15th Street, bro. Come on, let's talk,
That
bro.
wasn't y'all.
Your man got shot at 15th Street by a 14-year-old, bro.
That wasn't you.
As we know, there'll be teenagers that don't live by society's rules. For one reason or another, whether it be absent parents, poverty, or personality disorders, and untreated mental health issues, some slip through the cracks. Teenagers left to their own devices will find a way to make trouble or have it find them. Drug dealing is the easiest way to make a quick, profitable business. Without the headaches of the bureaucracy of a legal business, a drug business can be established in a day. The people in our video today would start their story that way.
Look, fuck, I be get put on the poster. Keep a Glock on my hip, ain't no holster. Ain't no left for a thought like I'm Sosa. We gon' slide through his block with a toaster. Extra clip like we shooting a movie. I got nose in the cup with the Uzi. She get wet like she in the jacuzzi. When I'm high off the lean, I get groovy. And y'all know how we bumming, y'all niggas is pussy little niggas, so why would you try me? When those shooters, they owe me a favor, I give them your name and they catching a body. And I'm about to get rich, so don't jump on my dick, I'ma grab me a portion of Mozzie. I might catch me a lick and get back on my shit.
Glizzy was from around the 6600 block of Chew and Sharpneck or Johnson. That area is called Dogtown. The young boys coming from this beef called themselves the Sixers and would click up with Chew and Shelton and the P&B young boys. Collectively, they would all call themselves the Torturers. Hop Out Blick rapped about this beef a lot, even though it was from before he was even known for real. You can find Glizzy at the deli, down Chew and Sharpneck a lot. He played for the Mount Airy Bantams as a young boy. As a teenager, he was a small-time trapper from his area. The area in Uptown that we are speaking of is very small compared to the rest of the city. Hood politics up here is different than the rest of Philly as well. Allegiances are very tenuous since there aren't any well-established gangs that stretch back decades like in, say, North and South Philly. But much like the rest of the city, everyone knew each other, or at least knew of each other. Ski was from over the other side of Stanton Ave. He was a mid-level trapper but was extremely militant about saving his money. His mom caught wind of his drug dealing ways and kicked him out of the house unless he stopped. To him, trapping was working out so far, so much so that he was probably making more than his mom at this point. By that time, he was 18, so he left. But much like a lot of unfocused 18-year-olds, his mind was strictly on his money. So much so that he didn't even get a spot of his own. He crashed with family and what he thought were friends at the time. Ski paid his way and was taking care of himself. Zay, his cousins, was Neefy from Dogtown. Neefy claimed the Sixers. Ski ended up staying with Zay and his grandma, who was also Neefy's grandma. Zay saw the amount of money Ski was making and thoughts started swirling in his head. The streets talked. Rumors started to swirl about how much money Ski was actually making, and eventually, the situation reached Glizzy's ears. Allegedly, according to street rumors, Zay called Glizzy and told a couple people that Ski had thousands in the safe in the basement. Glizzy hatched a plan to rob Ski with someone else at the grandma's house. Glizzy was hesitant at first, knowing the backlash and blowback that would come from stealing a large amount of cash from someone. He did his calculations and figured it was worth it, and Ski wouldn't do much about it. This was the worst miscalculation he could have made. After the robbery, the home invasion reeked of a backdoor. The robbers knew exactly where the money was, in the basement.
I'ma grab me a portion of Mozzie. I might catch me a lick and get back on my shit and just go do a drill on a Johnny. And it's back to the 6, throw the gas in the whip, then we use them again if they try me.
Hey, that's my doggy, I know he gon' fucking end him. A nigga trip, I bend him. Hey, bro, he fucking sick. He spinning till we catch a nigga. 50 in my Glock, keep shooting till I stretch a nigga. Catch him, let it pop, my dogs gon' go and fetch a nigga. Let that semi pop, my pistol giving lectures, nigga.
Ski's first reaction was calm. He figured he'd make the money back, although he wanted instant revenge, steadily plotting on how he would get it. Homies told him to chill and wait it out. No blood had been shed as of yet, but as news of the robbery spread, it was definitely time for people to pick a side. St. Raymond's, Lee's, and Edmonds, all names of schools that most people from this story attended. Football, basketball, baseball, boxing, high school. This is where all these guys knew each other from. In the days and weeks after the robbery, instead of laying low, Glizzy flaunted the money and taunted Ski on YouTube and Instagram, and by extension, most of that side of Stanton Ave. One day, Ski was trapping at the Getty at Mount Airy and Lober. This was his main trap spot. A lot of traffic and no cameras at the time. It was the perfect place to make some money, in his mind. On this particular day in October of 2020, Ski bumped into Glizzy and Glizzy's man Nails as they went into the gas station. At this moment, Ski had already decided that the disrespect had gone too far, but actually seeing Glizzy in person had him steaming. At this time in 2020, it was still a Getty gas station. It's now Liberty Gas or something like that, but people from the area still call it the Getty. There wasn't a camera at this particular Getty at this time. Ski hid behind the yellow Goodwill donation bins and waited for Glizzy to come out the store. According to PhillyUnsolvedMurders.com, Yusuf Nash, or Glizzy, was shot on the 1000 block of East Mount Airy Ave on Saturday, October 17, 2020. At 9:30 p.m., Philadelphia police officers responded to the scene and found Glizzy lying in the street. He was suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Glizzy was transported to Albert Einstein Medical Center, where he died that night. Yusuf Nash, who was 20 at the time, resided on the 6000 block of Chew Avenue, according to police.
We caught the 6 was out of bounds, so we had cracked it. How the fuck you think that nigga Glizzy got a closed casket? 15 to the face, 1 to the hand, bitch nigga dropped his ratchet. I took his high, I'm the biggest backdoor, so don't be trying to clean my block. Ski had left a nigga face down, put 15 in his top. Hit his homie in his hand, he wasn't trying to bang his high. 19 next, this bitch got butt and this bitch sticking out my shirt. I back the 6, I'm hopping out, think I seen Glizzy on his shirt.
Yo, bro,
we in the track, this ain't no scat. Bro, it ain't no looking back. Broski rolling up some pack. Got Glizzy smelling like some thrax. 4 pound that put him on his back. Nails that got hit, come get back. Mix and stir with Chucky Lack. Every week, that's a new pack.
When Ski saw Glizzy coming out of the store, he walked him down and hit him 15 times. Glizzy was with Nails. Ski chased Glizzy and Nails back to the car. Nails was shot in his hand. Ski tossed a gat in a trash can and ran to the crib, or so the story was told. Ski called a couple people, including Mikey, who went to grab it from the trash can. Rumors started swirling that Neefy had made the call to give Glizzy's drop up. These rumors were unsubstantiated, but went to show that this was pick a side time. At this time, you had 1400 Vernon Road, 1500 Wadsworth, and even some young boys from Core side of Vernon Road on one side, and P&B and Dogtown on the other.
What's this up? Ain't no copping, please. Fuck your bitch for the drop, got what I need. It's up there. Y'all know it's still up.
Niggas keep talking about bodies. I put this down on the mat. I carry the 4 on my back.
This was before all the names was being said in songs and while drill music in Philly was picking up. as people like Hop Out Blick and YBC Duel used the violence around them to make music years later down the line. Around this time is when a lot of the violence that's rapped about today was actually taking place. Many of the people who died in this war weren't actually rappers. They, however, are rapped about heavily to this day. So remember that as we go through this story. Speaking of rumors, when Glizzy robbed Ski, it was rumored that Neefy gave up the info that led Glizzy to the house. Neefy steadfastly denied all the rumors. He was so confident in his denials that he attended Glizzy's vigil. According to PhillyUnsolvedMurders.com, Hanif Poles was shot on the 500 block of East Duval Street on Saturday, October 24th, 2020 at 12:22 a.m. Philadelphia police officers responded to the scene and located Hanif lying next to a white 2015 Ford Edge. Medics arrived at the scene and then confirmed that Hanif had died. If you notice, October 24th is exactly 1 week after Glizzy was killed. That's 2 young men killed in 1 week, allegedly behind this robbery. And if you know anything about the streets, then you know things can go 1 or 2 ways from here. The police can arrest the murderers and the beef will more than likely die down. Or the murderers can be allowed to roam free throughout the community. And then we can have the community deal with it themselves. Often throughout America, a population's cooperation with police largely depends on their trust of the police. While most Black Americans, according to a Gallup poll, are confident in police and are satisfied with community relations, they lag behind whites significantly and are 10 to 15 points behind the national average.
Never in the history of Philadelphia did the community trust the police or the police trust the community.
Although those numbers have been increasing over the last few years, which might be a good sign. Michael Meredith would be the next victim of violence related to this beef. He was from 1500 Wadsworth, and he was cool with mostly everybody from Uptown. This story gets sadder when you learn that a lot of these guys were family. He would be with Ski and Ryan all the time, trapping and getting money. He was quiet and laid back and kept to himself. On the day he died, Philly was in a deep winter freeze. After a February snowstorm, Mike had to dig his car out, so he went out to shovel and was seen by his ops. A week before his death, Mikey had gotten into a shootout. He had a legal registered firearm, but he wasn't licensed to carry. He was arrested for this incident and bailed out. Mikey didn't really get into the dissing and the trolling, but he was associated, and that was enough for him to be targeted. Like I mentioned before, these guys were all from Uptown, and this all started over an alleged $30,000 robbery. Sides were being picked, even though East Side and West Side already had beef. Ski went to school at Fells with Sear a few years back. Sear is from 1400 Vernon with NLB Sill and Reek and Chant and a wild young boy Ryan. Went to FS Edmonds and Roxborough. Dropped out in the 10th grade when the beef turned up and his life was starting to be threatened. Ryan never saw his father and lived with his mom and his grandma. His step-pop was around. He played football for the Mount Airy Bantams and met Ski when they were in the 3rd grade. Ryan used to be cool with people over east, like Leafy, Clay, and Lil J.
Jump out crazy, we going jump out crazy. From that 6 side, I be with my torches. I didn't sit up, I said both sides.
He used to hoop at the Mount Pleasant Playground up until the beef turned up in 2020. In 2022, a fight surfaced on the internet of people who claimed either Sixers or Say Slide, I forget. They punched on Ryan at Only Terminal. Ryan got jumped and lost his pole that day.
What, nigga? Go ahead, what, nigga? What, nigga? Go ahead. Go ahead. Track star. Fuck wrong with nigga? You tripping. Track star, nigga. Keep running, nigga.
In 2023, Ryan started dropping music talking about the war. There was an argument posted to YouTube like 3 years ago when he was arguing with Hop Out Blick when I first heard of him.
Bro. You any nigga,
That's your
you
homie.
a fan.
I
He got a
didn't
lost
that. That's your
England,
homie.
bro. That don't got nothing to do with no Philly beef, bro.
Shit.
You
Y'all know what we doing to y'all though. What y'all? What do you, like? Y'all don't got no bees, bro.
You a bitch, bro.
Y'all never caught nothing, bro.
Yes.
Y'all never did nothing to none of my homies, bro.
we
What
shit,
y'all
nigga,
do to any of my homies, bro?
We go viral on hit.
Y'all never did shit on my homies.
Yes, we did.
Bro, y'all didn't.
Cook the nigga you post.
Y'all never did nothing to ski.
Yeah, you post Mikey.
Y'all didn't do that. Stop claiming another nigga. Stop claiming another nigga wreck, bro. That's not your wreck, bro. That's not P&B wreck, bro.
Bro, we fried your man, bro. That's
Dogtown wreck, bro. Stop claiming P&B wreck, bro.
We fried your man. Bro, a torture fry him, bro. A torture fry him.
I guess, bro.
I
guess, bro. And your man Clay was supposed to come outside, but he let a bitch die. That's wild. The fuck, bro?
Ski, for a few months after the pass of Glizzy and Neef, played it cool. He continued to sell his weed and make his couple dollars, although he would be trolling. The whole time, Dogtown was trying to catch up with him. Glizzy was killed in October. By May of 2021, they would catch up with him. Khalil Burgess, 18, a passenger in the rear driver's side seat, was shot fatally in the head. Nazir Vizi, 19, or Ski, who was in the rear passenger side seat, was fatally shot multiple times in his torso. He was pronounced dead at 3:30 a.m. that Monday in May of 2021. The third victim, an 18-year-old man who was in the front passenger seat, survived a gunshot wound to his left arm. The lone gunman was in a car that pulled along the knee side and opened fire, police said.
A lot of sticks, a lot of clips, and plus we like to walk down with some confidence. Get hawked down cause he tried to diss. He talk now cause he tried to diss. You know we slide for Glizzy, watch your mouth and use some common sense. We did that hit, it's obvious, bro, up the score is positive. Watch I take off like rocket shits, big gun, 2 beams, I'm not gonna miss. Gonna shoot out the wheel because the Draco got some kids. No doing hits off for no pills, I like to see his top get split. Like where the 5 at, I'm tryna blitz. Lil Skeezy got left in that whip. Said they want smoke, then you know it's lit. That's why shitting them resting in piss. It's 3 dead niggas in the split. Mike, Lil Skeezy. Cut the brakes when we hop out the whip. Miss, this goods and that boy got a dish. Lil Ron made a diss and was missing. Swear to God, we ain't killing no children. They took his gun, could've made him a victim. Steph, dissing on Brody, we put him to rest. Yeah, no vest. That's why Lil Ski like got hit in his chest. Stop they piece. Where your man at? Oh, he's 6 feet. Not gonna talk about how she got caught in the bitch seat. All the ops broke, they talk a lot, and you know that shit cheap. Brody still on the strip with a stick that can flip Jeeps. Made a come up, they on my line, and that bitch tryna fold. The ski runs on the way, that's how we get all kinds of money. Niggas dissing Glizzy name, but y'all know y'all niggas was high. And he got some niggas slime for him. Yeah, we up the scores, rising for him. Y'all be capping, y'all rap, y'all some actors. Glizzy killer dead, we the big get backers. Hole in his fitted cap, he a big cap. Man, all y'all homies dead, y'all ain't never been a factor. Call up, bro, he got one. That nigga spinning solo with his range like a layup. Y'all be shooting from the logo with it. All the section 8ers. Caught his ass, cooked that nigga, and his folks was devastated. Talking about it, get back, your man sold and levitated. Smoke the mic up while we lurking. Man's gonna look like niggas purging. They see Brody and get nervous. Body shaking, stomach turning. Run up, we gon' close the curtain. Got little shooters, they still learn. Drop a bag, they gon' go earn it. Slide with sticks like Timmy Turner.
Allegedly, Ski's girl at the time was in the car as well. I couldn't confirm this, but the streets stick to this version of events. This killing might have been a setup. The driver was said to have followed people from Dogtown on Instagram and was one of 2 people of the 5 in the car not shot. Khalil Burgess, or Lil, wasn't too deep in. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Ski was getting his car tinted in North Philly when the shooting happened. After the death of Glizzy, Ski and the people around him, including Ron, were doing a lot of trolling. And the whole trolling thing seemed to catch up with him.
Clump my Subies chunky, I be walking with a wham. When we bent, he wasn't out, so I'm like, fuck it, get his man. How about that car and let it fly? When he fall, I hit his head. 50 popping out your bushes, trying to put some shit to bed. Ask around, they know about us, I only speak on shit we did. 2 sturdy died, so we turned up, you know we had, got back for that.
Niggas just don't ball, we masked up and started hoop.
August of 2021, police say an 18-year-old was shot and killed in Philadelphia's East Airy neighborhood. It happened on the 6700 block of Musgrave Street just before 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Police identified the teen as Lionel Samuels, or 2 Sturdy, or as they called him, Stirred Ball. When police arrived, they found him in the courtyard of Simon Garden Apartments with gunshot wounds to the stomach and back. Teens with no outlet for anger, no guidance, and a false sense of invincibility leads to years-long wars like this. This beef is still playing out to this day. People like Chucky, Leafy, Tino, and the girl Carissa we will speak of in part 2. Also, we will get more into how PMB plays into this. Expect that video before the end of September. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thanks for watching American Confidential, and until next time, be safe.